हे दोस्तों, वेलकम टू अपना कम्युनिटी। ये वो जगह है जहां आप अपने असली पोटेंशियल को एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं। देखो, सबके पास स्किल्स होते हैं, पर क्या आपके अंदर वो स्पार्क है जो आपको कामयाबी की ऊंचाइयों तक ले जा सकता है? अगर आप सोच रहे हैं जॉब चेंज करने के लिए लेकिन रेज्यूमे सेलेक्ट नहीं हो रहा, या फिर इंग्लिश में इंटरव्यू देना थोड़ा चैलेंजिंग लग रहा है, तो फिक्र मत कीजिए। यहां हम हैं आपके साथ, आपको सपोर्ट करने के लिए। अपना कम्युनिटी में आपको मिलेगी बेहतरीन कम्युनिटीज जहां आप अपने प्रोफेशनल स्किल्स को सुधार सकते हैं। चाहे आप एक्सेल, टैली, जीएसटी में माहिर बनना चाहें, या फिर आप खुद एक ब्यूटिशियन या डिजाइनर हैं, तो यहां आप अपने काम को शोकेस करके दूसरों को टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स देते हुए आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। अपना कम्युनिटी में आपको मिलेगा मेंटर्स का एक खजाना और बड़े इन्फ्लुएंसर्स का साथ, जो आपको हर कदम पर 1-to-1 गाइड करेंगे। यहां आप ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं अपने फील्ड या इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप्स, जहां आपको ऐसे कई लोग मिलेंगे जिनसे सीख के आप वो गलती ना करें जो वो कर चुके हैं। ऐसे लोगों की जिन्होंने स्टार्ट किया था एज एग्जीक्यूटिव्स एंड आर नाउ सक्सेसफुल मैनेजर्स इन देयर डोमेन्स, जो आपको आगे बढ़ाने में मदद करेगा। यहां आपको मिलेगा वो सही डायरेक्शन जो आपकी करियर को नेक्स्ट लेवल ले जाएगा। तो लेट्स अनलॉक योर पोटेंशियल टुगेदर। अपना कम्युनिटी में ज्वाइन करें और अपने सपनों की ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचने का सफर शुरू करें।
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. So we'll be starting today's session now. Quick introduction about Apna Community Exclusives. It's a webinar series that we have been conducting in association with QFirst for the last couple of months. It is done every day on weekdays between at 7 p.m. Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. and on weekends between 3 to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So we have covered a variety of topics like Gen AI, ML, data science, interview prep, resume creation, etc. The main objective of these sessions is to help you grow professionally, help in the advancement of your career, get better jobs, and expose you to industry, people who are working in the industry so that you can learn from their experience. Today's session is about cybersecurity. For this session, we have Roni with us. Let me introduce him. He's a result-driven cybersecurity professional with more than 4 years of experience in application security assessments, configuration reviews, and security audits. He's skilled in identifying vulnerabilities, analyzing risk, and providing mitigation strategies. He's a strong communicator with a commitment to continuous learning and staying updated on cybersecurity trends. He has a few years of experience as a mentor as well, and we are so glad to have him with us today. Thank you so much, Roni, for joining us. Before I hand it over to Roni, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box. During the Q&A part, we'll also allow you to unmute yourselves. And please do maintain the decorum. So without any further ado, Roni, you can take over.
Thank you, Sid, for the nice introduction. So, hi guys, welcome all to join the session, and I'm glad to join with the like-minded folks. So, I'll quickly start with the presentation. Just let me know when the screen is visible. Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah, Roni, yeah.
Okay. Just give me a moment. Okay. So like the title is, so we'll touch down the points of job skills, roles, and responsibilities. So majorly we will be focusing on the job factors, like how the roles are, how the responsibilities are mapped into for each roles, and how can you skill up on your career wise. So once at the basic bare minimum, you would be joining as an analyst, and we'll speak way forward to that. So this would be yeah. So this other topics we would be touchdowning on a brief scale. We'll have an introduction with the cyber security and all the roles and what are in the branches of cyber security, and moving forward the roles and the skills that we require on mostly the certifications part and what is to be skilled up, that would be covering in the fourth slide, and the consideration. So once you start to work as a cybersecurity consultant, So there are few morals that we have to follow, such as NDA. We don't have to disclose anything of our client data. So those are the kind of morals that trust they place on us, which we have to follow. And the resource and networking part, that is more like socializing on the platforms to understand more what are the evolving trends or the evolving tools and how the other people are leveraging those. So those are the kind of things that we'll be speaking about on the sixth slide. So I'm audible, right?
Yeah, Rondi.
Okay. So guys, if you have any doubt in between or anything that you find it trouble for understanding, just pause me and we can take up the questions in between itself. Yes. So cybersecurity, this is a dynamic field. So since there is a lot of digital demand right now, the everything is revolving around the digital field. Your cloud, your data, your banking, uh, each and everything require a digital presence at the moment. So there is a lot of scope and there is a lot of opportunities that opens up, and the organizations have also started to address them simultaneously. And most of the organization at the point they require a in-house cybersecurity team. So that opens up to a lot more of roles to be recruited. So there is within an organization there are different teams of cybersecurity personals, like IT security. We'll speak about that in the next slide. I have listed down a few of the major roles. So with that, and the opportunities is also being created. So basically, if you are taking out an organization, they'll be requiring, for example, a bank. So initially, banks, what they used to do is they outsource all their cybersecurity resources. They'll acquire a third-party organization and they ask them to do their cybersecurity works. So, which is addressing to the events generated, addressing to any malfunctions that is happening, any fraud in transactions, digital transactions, or if any uh, phishing attacks that is taking on their customers, anything of that sort is being addressed by a third party vendor for the bank. But at the moment, since there is a lot of demand, the banks they have started to implement in-house team, though small, but they do have the team, and which simultaneously starts addressing with all the events that is generated from a cyber point of view. So here, this is the main branch within the cybersecurity. This is what we are looking into. So while applying for a job or when you are looking into some cyber professionals, the cybersecurity is a broad term. Within that itself, there is a lot of branches, not just limited to what is listed on the screen, but there are plenty more, and there would be coming again. Because at the moment, we have included cloud security, cryptography. This wasn't there in the initial days because there wasn't a cloud concept, there wasn't a cryptography concept. So this is evolving. This will evolve more. There would be more roles, but within the cracks, it is all same. All you have to do is secure the system, you secure the information and everything. So if speaking of the roles one by one, that is information technology security. That's basically IT security. Within here, what we focus is more on the hardware parts. That is, we can say your computer systems, your networks, your routers, all the hubs, switches, everything. So those kind of things comes under IT security. So when you apply for the role, if you see it's an IT security is a hardware based role, you'll have to look after the data transmissions from this kind of hardware systems. That is your niche when you come into this IT security roles. And the network security is something that we already have. Those are LANs, your Wi-Fi's, and how those are exploitable, how those are implemented within an organization, how the data is transmitted through Wi-Fi. So we know once we enter an organization, there is the restricted Wi-Fi's or restricted networks running throughout the organizations. So what happens is when an outsider tries to log in into their network, there is a lot of data loss happening. And if a person is successfully penetrating into their network and trying to capture the traffic, then that is a big loss for the company itself, because all the transmissions that is taking place, all the packets transaction that is happening within their company network is disclosed to an outsider. So that is what happens here, and the role of a person who is working as a network security is to check the authorization of each person that is joining uh, in that particular network, and if that network is secure enough, and is if anyone from the outside world is trying to tamper it or trying to gain an unauthorized access, and those are the kind of uh, roles that comes under as a network security. When we go into physical security, this is trying you have I think you guys have heard of a server farms. Have you familiar with that term? I take that as a yes.
Guys, you can respond in the chat or also unmute yourself if
Yes.
you have anything.
Okay, so I take that as yes. So server farms are places like, for example, Amazon AWS. They have a huge place. It would be like a place, a big place, like a supermarket, and they have racks of servers in that. Those are server farms, and those are your cloud computers as well. So what happens is within the server farms, there is a lot of physical devices, servers, and hardware functions, and the data is being stored over there. And the main agenda is to protect those data, those assets from outside threats, because those server farms are the most you can say it's kind of a gold mine of digital data, because that would be having a lot of data there. Your all your KYC data, all your transaction data, all your medical, everything, everything about you would be there in the server farm. And your cloud security is basically you trying to access something that is in the digital. Or once you upload your thing, for example, Google Drive. So you start uploading your pics, images, your documents, your personal identifiers, everything into Google Drive. And so as organization also has those kind of things, those kind of shared drives. So once you upload everything in the cloud security, or you try to access a cloud system, those particular transactions of data, transmission of packets has to be restricted for the only to the authorized users, and outside world shouldn't be available to use those data. So that is a point which comes under cloud security. Cryptography is something when we have to make uh, we'll have to hash, or you have to uh, do something of a secret key. So for example, if you're having a password, though that password cannot be passed on to the internet as a clear text. So if, for example, your password is something pass at the rate 123, we cannot pass that into the internet or to the outside world as it is. It's in a clear text format, so anyone can read it. Either we have to hash it or encrypt it. So what once you hash it, the problem is we can dehash and you can get what is behind. So encryption comes into picture. Encryption is a one-way mechanism. You cannot decrypt it back. So what happens is there would be a key within the client side and the server side. The server side uses its key to decrypt it back, and the client side uses its key to encrypt it. And cryptography is something when you decide and design the kind of mechanisms which you can securely map encrypt your passwords to make sure there is utmost confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity maintained, and no tampering is happening, even though the particular phrase or key is being leaked out. And application security is your Android, your mobile devices which you uses. You install applications, your websites. For example, if you're using online banking, though, that is a sort example of an application. Your uh, banking apps which you install in your phone, those are examples. So everything related to those applications is covered within the application security. here what we do is it is an internet facing thing. The all the applications from the banks are internet facing, so it is open to the outside world. So if there is anything that is left out to be patched or mitigated, and and if it is found to be vulnerable, it is a huge loss for the organization and for us as well, because anything, uh, all our data, all our transactions, the amount which we have is all stated out in the banking application, right? So if we lose hold on that, then we are totally screwed, I would say. All the data is going out, all your identify. So anytime when you encounter a phishing call or anything, they'll try to get out utmost data from you, try to understand your details, your PII data, that is personal identifier data, so that they can try in the next call. So for that, application security plays a major role, and that is where I work as. I do work as an application security consultant, and threat intelligence is having a SOC center. Have you Are you familiar with the term SOC, that is Security Operations Center? So I'll give you an example what Security Operations Center is. So SOC is a place where all the events are generated. So if you they the organizations, they would be having a certain set of rules. If I'm giving an example, then it would be if you're trying to logging into a banking application, and if you log in the first time, it is okay because you are an authenticated user and you did it in the first time itself. If you made attempt twice, thrice, so now there is an possible event there. It might be an hack which is going in the behind, because the user doesn't know what the password is. So the person is trying to spray passwords, trying different combination of passwords. So that is a kind of event which is generated at the SOC center. And then later on, if the account bridge is stated, then they will have a root cause analysis for the same, and why and when and how did that particular event raise, and why was that alerted, and those kind of things will be taken care of. And digital forensics is similar to SOC. Once a SOC event is raised, it is given into a thread. Then digital forensics come into place. So digital forensics is basically digging back into the cyber attacks. Will go do a root cause analysis and prevent strategies uh, and root cases on how to prevent it in the future incidents. And ethical hacking is conducting a simulated hacks in the production environment, that is in all the websites that are open for the entire world. So by entire world, I mean the links that is accessible to us is also accessible to the entire world. So that is a production environment from any state point. So in this ethical hacking, what we do is we try to have follow a test case, or we do the penetration testing, which is helping the organization to build a better tool or a better application, and also taking care of the user data, which it is not being leaked. Penetration testing is a similar thing for ethical hacking. In here, what we do is we simulate the outside threat. That is, if application is open to the outside world, and what are the potential threats that an application could face. So that is what we simulate in a penetration testing. Security architecture is where we design the entire framework of the security. Like this is a server which holds the transaction data. This is a server which holds the KYC data. So how to place that in a bank's network, and how secure you can do it, how to draw firewalls, how to implement firewalls to keep this particular server or data secure within the environment. That is what comes under security architecture. And security operations, like I said, it is operation center wherein all the alerts are raised. and all the events are raised, and once event is stated to be a threat, it would be further investigated, and a mitigation procedure and everything would be taken care of. And OSINT is something that is evolving, because in OSINT, the main idea is to gather all the data that is available in the internet. If we have to target a person, we just know that a person, if we take, for example, if I take myself as an example, I'll take, all I know is my name, that is Ronnie. So I don't know anything before and after that. Just all I have is Ronnie, who works in this particular organization. So with that piece of information, I'll hit the internet. I'll try to gather more details on the person. I'll try to go to social networks. I'll try to gather information from there. I'll go open Insta. So if I am a social person who likes to socialize, I would be posting out my whereabouts. Like, I am at this place, I am at this place, I'm doing at this, I am at this hotel staying right now. So those are the data which an OSINT researchers try to gather, and then will further move on with the attacks, or if phishing links, anything that is such. So if a person within the OSINT, the major idea is, so if I'm targeting myself, and if I like to read books, and the person who is targeting me know that I like to read books. So the next target, so the next attempt would be is to lure me into something which offers me a reading opportunity. So it would be some books with low prices. So me being who someone who likes to read, I would be totally into it. I would like to explore more. I would like to understand this particular book. Why are they selling it at low price? So it is a basic human instinct is to go into that link, and all the attacker also wants the same thing, me to open that particular link. So we'll have to be take care when you post something on the social network, and it can be misused also. So these are the branches in cybersecurity. Any doubt here? Quickly check the chat box. Yeah. So we'll move forward. Okay, we'll move with the roles. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So these are the roles we are looking into. So a person who is joining right after the college would be joining as a senior security analyst. So security analyst, there is no niche as such. So security analyst, what an organization expects is to be, since it is a fresher role, it is right after the college. The organization, as an organization, they would be pushing you to understand all the aspects of cybersecurity, like all the roles we spoke about. An organization would be trying to push your limits to understand what all you are capable of. So you might be good in application security, or you might be good in drawing secure architectures, or you might be good in documentation reviews. So at the initial state, the organization is also not sure about what you are good into, at, and most of the persons who join into an organization as a fresher are also not sure what they know about cybersecurity. They know just something that is to secure the digital environment, but they exactly don't have an idea about what exactly is to be done. So here, security analyst is the position what is being offered, and here it is mostly everything that we spoke about. You'll have to come across network security, you'll have to come across application architecture, SOC, that is you will go through the events, you will understand why an event is raised and why the rules are set in that form, everything of that sort. And moving forward, there would be a penetration tester that is somewhat niche, but here also, as a penetration tester is a broad term for everything that would come under application security, your ethical hacking, everything. Wherever you are simulating an outside threat into the organization's applications or your network, this is the role that we have. That is a penetration tester role. And penetration tester is basically a white hat tester. We'll speak about that in a bit. There are different levels, that is white, gray, black. So we'll speak about that in a bit. And the next is incident responder is something when we join as a SOC analyst. So SOC analyst is someone who analyzes all the events that is raised from an organization. We understand what kind of event those are, why that anomaly is being called out, and why it is not a threat. So it is, for example, if you're trying to log in into an application, it is intended that you log in the first time, and it may be some possibility your caps is on, your there would be some other reasons you couldn't log in the first attempt, and you did you try to log in twice, thrice, maybe multiple times. So even after that, when you don't cause any problems with your application or within your account, so that event which was raised initially when you were not able to log in, so that is erased off. So incident responder, what it does is they'll have a set of rules, mitigation rules, and to analyze why that particular incident was raised and what had happened after the incident being spotted. So those kind of things would be taken care of by an incident responder. Network security. When you join as a network security engineer, it is a hardware-based role where you will be working with routers, your Cisco routers, your switches, hubs, everything. It's on the top line. It is an organization networks architecture as a person's responsibility to ensure everything is compliant with the standards. We have particular standards and approved standards that we have to follow. The compliance part for each organization to function, there are a set of compliance which have to go through. So all this has to be taken care of by that net security engineer who is handling the network part. And ethical hacker is again a penetration tester, similar role. But here what we have is this is our niche now. So as an ethical hacker, your only role is to try to be a white hat hacker, and all the skills which you have uh, back till then is to be put into use to improve the security of the organization, and to identify if vulnerability and try to simulate all the outside threats an application can face. You try to exploit them, you try to deface any websites, all but ethically. That is only you will access the URLs or the websites and the applications only for which you are authenticated to. Otherwise, it is a black hat hacker thing, and it is not nice to do a black hat thing, because you will have to face a lot of legal implications after that if someone complains against you. Though your intentions are right, since you are not authorized to access those particular URLs, it would be considered as a black hat. So digital forensics analyst is someone who investigates and analyze digital evidences to determine the scope of a cybercrime of data breach. So anything, if we already have a cybercrime that has taken place, the forensics analyst is to go back into the root, do a root cause analysis, understand from where this particular this has raised. For example, if you're taking a fraud transaction which has happened. So in this case, the forensic analyst would go back to the initial date of transaction, will understand where it was initiated from, whether it was from the user or it was from the bank side or it was some other place where the user don't have access to. maybe a reason that user must have lost his phone, and the transaction was done by someone else who was maliciously handing the device of the user. So those is taken care under forensics analyst. And security architecture, like we spoke, it is designing the entire architecture of an organization, including the integration of all the security technologies and policies in place. And the idea is to ensure that the security is integrated within the organization, and all the standard regulators and the compliance are maintained. Regulatory compliance are maintained. And this is CTO is the utmost position, topmost position, which security analyst, right from the security analyst, CISO, CTO is somewhere you can get into. So this is the head of a particular organization. So all the roles, all the regulations, all the compliance, all any changes to their system, any changes into their digital network environment has to be approved from a CTO or a CISO. So there are other terms in different organizations. So some would be calling them as a president of technology. Some would be calling them as CTO. Some would be calling them as CISO. Some would be calling them as a business head. So there are different terminologies in the different organizations. Irrespective of that, this is the gist what we have. Uh, are we clear in this slide? Questions so far? No. Okay. Yeah. So here, with now we're moving to the third part. We'll understand what are the skills that we require to be in the environment. So, as per the technical skills are concerned, it is good to have knowledge in programming. It is not mandatory, but it is recommended. Even if you don't have a programming skills, it is okay, because most of the time what we do is we do use manual payloads, we use automated tools, and the programming skills come in handy when you have to chain some tools. For example, you are using a scanning tool, and once you have a scanning result, you will have to pass them to the other tool. And those kind of scenarios, programming comes in handy. You can create your own tool, you can help yourself by saving some time. And also there is another segment within the cybersecurity, that is secure code review. If you are good in programming, you do understand programming language, you can do a secure code review. That is where we evaluate a developer's code who has written all the patches for all the features that an application can use. We'll review them, we'll give them the suggestions and how to go about, and what is missing and what is to be implemented, or how it is not maintaining a standard. Those are the kind of thing that we would be letting them know once we do a secure code review. And networking concepts is it's a must, because with that we understand how the layers function. So we have an OSI model. So OSI model basically helps us to understand the communication layer that is being happening right from the client side to the server side. So every time there is a network, there is an application layer, there is a data link layer, and others sort of. So in each layer has their own functionality, has their own data transmission, has their own uh, working methods. So all of that, those has to be well versed with. So sorry. And operating systems, most of the time we do use Windows, and Linux is something which is recommended because there are some tools, outside tools, GitHub repos, which sometimes gives problem with working with Windows. So Linux is recommended. Mac OS is something that you can ignore because it is similar to Linux. So it is, and also the Mac OS comes into place when we are doing some iOS testings. Unless then, Mac OS is not broadly used. So it's basically more Windows and Linux. You'll have to understand the concepts. Uh, you'll have to know how to troubleshoot if you come across a problem. That is the idea behind it, to understanding an operating system. And security tools and technologies is something: firewall, intrusion system, IDS, IPS, implementing WAF. So when you come across an application, there would be layer of security that is being set behind an application. That is, once you enter a data within the UI of a website, those data are taken and filtered within WAF, and only then it is passed on. So that is the layer of security. If you have to bypass a WAF and then firewall, you will have to understand how a WAF works, what is the capability of particular WAF. You will also have to do a background check of the application to understand what kind of WAF is being used in the behind, just to build tools, just to build tools or payload accordingly. So the what when we have an application in hand to test, the initial approach is to understand the application's version and what all technology is being used by the application. For example, it is using ASP, it is hosted in Apache, it is using a Cloudflare in the behind. So those kind of reconnaissance is a must, so that you understand what is being used behind of the application, so that you can move forward. And the soft skills is problem solving, because most of the tools keeps giving you error at the times you change the OS, it gives you error. So you'll have to have a proper troubleshooting skills. You should understand why this particular application is giving an error, why this particular tool is giving an error, why is your scans not completing properly. Those kind of things has to be come from a self troubleshooting point of view. And critical thinking, because you are handed with the responsibility of a banking application. You will have to think accordingly. You will have to think as a user. At the same time, you'll have to think like a hacker. So if you're not if you just think like a user, for you everything would be on a bright side. You are accessing an application, the data is passed, your transmission is proper, there is no leakage happening in between. But when you do it as a hacker, there is a lot more going in the background. Every time a data is passed, there are different calls. Every time when you do a transaction, there is different API calls, different URLs that is being addressed. So all the time the data is different. Sometimes an application tend to deliver data to their third party application, their plugins which they are using. So at that point, the security can be compromised, because the transmission from the application to the third party can be tampered, can be interfaced, and you can be interfere in between and capture the traffic. Sorry. And analytical skills is something: when you already identified a vulnerability, you will have to present it. uh, for that, you will have to know what kind of vulnerability it is, how is it affecting the environment. Sometimes password, for example, a password reset functionality, it might be the bank or the organization whom you report it to won't take it in much seriousness, but you as a security consultant, it is your responsibility to make them understand why it is of utmost importance, why it can cause you a business impact. So those kind of things you should be versed with. You should understand what is happening in that particular vulnerability. You should be able to explain them. And similarly, communication is the same. Teamwork, because there would uh, organization who hands you with the application doesn't come with just one application. There would be multiple applications. For example, if you are taking a banking organization, banks, they have around 600 applications, depending bank to bank. If you are taking an international bank, they'll have their base and their base location and the international presence. So that would be a lot of application which you have to test. So in this case, there would be application that is deployed in a different region. There would be application that is deployed in India and in the US, UK. So the security features within the application that is deployed in UK might be different from what is deployed in India. So the people handling the application outside the region should you should always be communicating with them to understand what they have figured out in their reconnaissance and what you have gotten in your background check. So you can build more understanding on the application. You can build your payloads accordingly. You can try to bypass if any security features that is implemented in between. And ethical hacking, you'll the entire point in getting into cybersecurity, if you want to be in a penetration tester role, ethical hacking is a must. You should understand the vulnerabilities. You should understand how the mitigation works for each vulnerability, and why are you recommending that particular patch to the organization. That is something which takes role. So if I'm giving you an example, you have a password mechanism. For the standard is to have an 8 characters with uppercase, lowercase, and special characters, and so on. So if an organization says we have all this in certain place, but their password is 123 at the pass at the rate 123, then that is not effective, right? They are compliant, but they are not secure. So the compliance and security part is different. If you want to for compliance, you just have to implement security features, but implementing them properly is what we look into. So being a consultant, it happens to be our responsibility to make the organization understand why compliance and security both are different in terms. And are we good here?
Guys, any questions? Please use the chat box, or also you can unmute. Please utilize the time.
So no worries. You can also ask me at the end. I would be much glad to help you out. And so moving forward, it's the what are the education pathways we are looking into. So these are just for someone who is starting out of in a role, but please don't stick to what is on the screen itself, because this is subjective. I from speaking of my uh, workplace, I have a guy who did his BSc chemistry and who joined the team. He's doing so well. He understand all the concepts. He understand everything of the cyber part. Though his background is not from IT or engineering or anything, his IT his background is nothing related to science. He's purely from a chemistry background. But even then, he's coping up so well. He's he's doing all the patching, the vulnerability mitigation research part in a good way. It's more like rest of the years. So it is not the education that you can limit it to, it is the knowledge which you can grab. Now it's being everything being readily available on the internet. It is also not a showstopper for you. You can just hit on the internet, you can understand what the vulnerability is, you can just put a name. There is a lot of walkthroughs happening, there is a lot of uh, exploitation. The people are teaching how to exploit that particular vulnerability, and there is mitigation methods, there is blogs, there is bug bounty people who demonstrate their skills on YouTube's. So there is a lot of learning vector which you have. You should utilize them. And this is the certifications and the bachelor degree which is there. It is the just a minimum requirement what an organization look into it. Just not stick into the bachelor's degree of computer science or cybersecurity. It is morely a bachelor degree what they look into. And provided you have a proper certification or a proper knowledge, or either you'll have to defend yourselves in the interview, you should uh, put out yourself, uh, making them understand why you would be fit for this kind of role, why, uh, how do you understand the concepts, and you should help them understand about yourself. That is the idea. So master's degree is something when you progress in your role, it is not required as a master's degree. You can go for your CPSI, that is anything, information security implementer, there is a CISO certificate. All those are equivalent to a master's degree once you have a proper number of experiences. So for all the certification, there is a minimum uh, experiences what they require. For example, if you are going for CPSI, that is the minimum required is something around 4 or 5 years of experience. Only then you would be able to give the certification. So those are equivalent to a master's degree. And online courses and certification is something that you yourselves should be undertaking for self skill development, because the cyber threats are much evolving. There are new threats out there, there are new tools out there. So you should always be proficient with what are the tools outside, what are the evolving threats, and what are the kind of technologies which is being used in an application development. So for those, the online courses would come much handy. And CEH is something uh, you can have it. It is an identifier for you that an organization would the organization would be glad if you have a CEH with you. But CEH doesn't prove your practical ability. It is an MCQ sort of exam, so it doesn't have much practicality. And if you are already in your career, already started as a cyber consultant, then there is no need of CH, because you already have the provided experience. And CISSP, like I mentioned, is you'll have a particular number of experience to go for this certificate. And CompTIA security is also similar to CISSP, but it is a bit on the lower side. You can have this to have a fair understanding of the networking part, the applications part, the build, and the exploitation on how the exploit is to be built, how a payload is to be constructed. If no doubt, we can move forward. Yeah. So when an organization trusts you with their application, with their insider data, there is some sort of uh, etiquettes that we'll have to follow as a cyber actor, because we would be they would be handing out with their most confidential information. So we also have to act accordingly. We shouldn't leak out any of those data. Most of the organization, when they hand out a project, there is a non-disclosure agreement which is to be signed, and which initially states we shouldn't disclose any of the data that we come across. When we do a testing, or when we try to penetrate an application which is in a production environment, sometimes we might come across an exploit which can give you the user data. So as an ethical hacker, what we do is, when we know there is something out there, there is a data which is to be followed, that is very confidential, we'll have to make a hard stop there. We have to report it to the organization, and only with their permission we'll move forward and disclose the data. And like I said, if we are not authorized to, there is a lot of legal and ethical implications of hacking. If you hack on website, hack a website which you are not authorized to use, then the organization can potentially lodge a case against you. And there is within the organization, there is they segregate into teams. That is red team, blue team, and purple team. Purple team is something that has evolved recently. So red team is a total offensive people. So this red team, what the main idea is to attack an website or application or an organization from the outside world. So red team is what you see in the movies. So if you see in a movie or in a series, they sit out for hours. They try to understand what the organization is. They try to understand how the people behaves. So these are the red team exercise what we have in organization. The organization or the headquarters of the organization, for example, banks, uh, would take the headquarters of the bank would ask a team in the organization to do a red team exercise on a particular branch at this place. So the team sit there. This team would evaluate how the bank functions. They act as a normal person. They try to get into the bank. They possibly try to lodge a pen drive or uh, do some actions with which they have the bank's network in their hand, so that the next parts are easy for them. So once you get into the bank's network, then it is a hard stop over there for the banking people. You already have the network. Now you can do all the actions over there. Blue team is a defensive team, and all the blue team, like we spoke, the SOC, Security Operations Center. So those guys are a proper example for blue team, because blue team is a defensive team which try to defend against any simulated attacks and response to the incidents. So they focus majorly on detecting and mitigating threats uh, that is developed from the outside world, and they also try to implement effective countermeasures so that this threat doesn't take place again, and there is no event raised. No similar events are raised after that. Purple team is something that integrates the expertise of both red and blue. It is a middle ground. The purple team is a middle ground. The offensive and the defensive people, they sit together. They collaborate. They do the red team do their exercise. The blue team do their exercise. Once red team runs a payload, they would effectively speak it out with the blue team and ask them, "Have you gotten an alert for this particular exercise that which we have raised?" So this is also an effective method to identify vulnerabilities. They to develop effective countermeasures, and it also helps in improving the overall security posture of the organization. Moving forward is the networking part. So why networking part is because we are in evolving cyber world. So there is a lot of researches happening. There are new tools coming out each day. There are new methods to bypass these tools as well. So every time a tools comes up, every time an application is released, there are also people who is doing their research behind to hack them. So if a new tool is coming out with an utmost security, it is the top-notch security that is being there. Down the line, we'll also have a proper hack for that. So for that reason, we always have to be social. We'll have to be keep networking, and also networking helps a lot in securing jobs. That is the main point. You will have to, for if I'm taking example of LinkedIn, so within LinkedIn there would be a lot of posts coming up with people uh, putting out their experiences with particular tools. People share their methods, how they bypass this particular vulnerability, or how they bypass this particular WAF which is implemented. And this also helps you, socializing would also help you in building relationship. with industry experts. You speak with them, you ask for their referral, you ask for what can be done to improve your current cyber security skills. What is the emerging cyber security certificates that one should have? Those kind of information would be getting only if you are speaking with someone who is within the industry, or you will have to be social enough to understand those things. And yeah, so this since are the perks. We spoke about how, what, and the requirement. So these are some perks I would like to let you know. The career options are major, because within cybersecurity itself, you must have seen there are different branches. So even if you don't like one of the branch, or you are done with one of the branch, now you are exhausted, you would want a change, but you don't want to change the domain. You still being in cybersecurity, you want to explore other fields. So that is possible here. So you can just move around. If you're working as a penetration tester, you can move into SOC, you can move into forensics, you can move into incident responder, anything of that sort. And the services are in demand. Most of them, most of the organization, or all of the organization nowadays require a cyber team, either outsourced or in-house. So the job market is evolving, and the skill you will also have to evolve accordingly with the skill set that you have. You will always have to sharpen your skills. You will always have to back the new tool that is out in the market, because people the organization, they do trust in manual testing, but also automated testing would give you help you in putting your manual testing into next level, because uh, by automated testing, it is your time is much reduced. If you're taking manual testing for 1 hour and you came across one vulnerability or one endpoint, automated tested in the same place can give you result in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and all you have to do is evaluate it manually. So that is escalating your performance in with 200 100x or anything of that. And the employees are also, you come across the employers, you come across clients, you come across organizations. If you are in a third party if you are a vendor to any organization, you get the chance to meet them, you get the chance to go on site. There is no fixed environment, there is no fixed workplace. You might be working with an organization today, next month you would be onboarded on different project, you would be on their client side, on their premise. So there is an evolving change in the environment. Uh, you are not coming to a same workplace every day. And there is remote working opportunities, since we have cloud computers, we have a remote opportunities, remote capabilities of the applications and how it works. The production environment is internet facing, so anything that is internet facing would give you an opportunity to work remotely. That is it. And the work life balance is good, because it is a flexible time. The there are, sometimes the clients or the organization, they come with a specified time. We have to do the testing or the attack at that particular time itself, because it would affect their business. Otherwise it would affect their business timing. So in that case, we have to time in or clock in that particular time. Otherwise, it is a good work life balance. You can work as per your flexibility, and there is options for numerous specializations. So the organization where you are associated with, they push you for certifications. And if I'm speaking of some organization, Accenture, for example, Accenture, what they do is they pay off for your certificates. Only what you have to do is you have to gain the certificates. That's it. You have to prepare for that and gain the certificates. All the expenses, all everything would be taken care of by the organization. So that's it. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for being such an audience, like-minded folks. I always like to speak for them. Let me know if you have any doubts, concerns regarding this, and I would be happy to address those.
Thank you so much, Roni. It was a very well-researched and thorough presentation. Thank you so much. Uh, though we are at the end of our time, if there is any quick questions, one or two, we can quickly take it up, guys. I'll just wait for 1 minute. If that's okay, Roni.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, guys, just 1 minute. If you have any questions, you can fast put it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourselves as well. There is one question, Roni. Should I read it out to you?
Yeah, I'm looking into it.
Okay, sure.
Found out that still I have no job and I'm very much into the cybersecurity field, but I cannot see an opening in cybersecurity fiction and all I face. Okay, so Ashik, so what you do is you can when you hit up the LinkedIn, there is a lot of fresher opportunities. There is there is organization who provides internships or trainings. And there is also free certification that is available within LinkedIn itself. There is other certification. If you hit on to netcad, that is Cisco's uh, academy. So even netcad provides you with basic free uh, starting certificates. So with that certificates, you can state your knowledge in cybersecurity. You can let the recruiters know that you know the concepts, you are well versed with the concepts, you are well versed with the threats that is outside. With those things, you can put it in your CV. You can prepare, you can send it out for the recruiters to understand them that you already have a knowledge. What you lack is experience. And also you can perform bug bounties. I'm sure you must have heard of it since you're trying to be in cyber. So bug bounty, at the moment, the organizations have started to accept bug bounties. So if you do bug bounty, the organization consider that as an experience and they will let you in. And there is also OWASP. You can just log in into, or you can just search for OWASP top 10. Within the website, they already have a lot of vulnerable machines websites, which you would, which with by which you can gain experience, you can gain practice, you can try out different vulnerabilities. So Ashik, I think that solves your query, right? Yeah. Thank you, Ashik.
Great, guys. I think we are out of time, but just for the benefit of doubt, just wait for another 10-15 seconds. If there is any quick question. Cool. I think we have. It's unfortunately we are run out of time, so uh, we'll have to conclude. So with that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, Roni, for joining us and sharing your expertise with us. I believe everyone who attended and also will be watching this in the recordings will find this session very useful and will gain maximum knowledge out of it. Thank you everyone for joining in and making this a successful session. Gentle reminder, guys, I have put out the feedback form multiple times in the link, in the chat box. Please go to the feedback form, please fill it. It will really help us, give the feedback to the mentors and also plan for the upcoming sessions. You can also visit the Apna website where you can find the recording of this session and also other sessions that we have organized in the past. You can check for upcoming sessions and register them there. If you're part of the Apna community, you can comment interested in the post. You will keep getting the notifications. So as mentioned earlier, we will have these sessions every day. tomorrow we have the session at 3 p.m. again. So hope to see you all there. Good afternoon, everyone. Have a great day, and thank you again, Rory. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sid, for the opportunity. Thank you, guys. Bye.